Hi everyone! In today's episode of In the Life of Peaky Page, as you can see by the title of this video, I'm gonna be talking about my experience going to a transgender support group for the first time. And there's honestly gonna be quite a lot to talk about when it comes to this because, first of all, I feel so emotionally overwhelmed right now because it was such an emotional experience for me going to this group and meeting other trans people IRL. Like, the whole reason why I went is because at least since starting HRT, I've become painfully lonely and longing for some kind of relationship with other people. Like before, yes, I was lonely, but I was also a somewhat comfortable loner at the same time. But ever since HRT, that loneliness has become impossible for me to live with, which is why in the couple last sessions that I had with my therapist, I mentioned to her that I would like to potentially join the in-person support group for trans people. And honestly, after having gone to it this time, I really wish I went there earlier, man. I mean, on one hand, I kind of am happy that I didn't go earlier because I don't know if I would have met this group of people that I met this time, because there is definitely a little bit of a turnaround for the group. But I also don't know how comfortable I would have felt with how I looked in some of the earlier months of therapy that I went, because back then I wasn't even on HRT, so I don't know how comfortable I would have been being amongst other trans people when I don't feel comfortable with myself like I do right now, because as you can see how I look right now, I feel very comfortable and very happy with how I look. So I put a lot of effort, especially to present the best version of myself to them. And yeah, there's honestly so much to talk about, but I just still feel so emotionally confused because on one hand, I'm so happy with this experience. I was a little nervous about it, in regards to whether I would actually enjoy it and whether I would actually find the other trans people likable and enjoyable to interact with, because on top of all the stuff that I'm also an introvert, so, or at least somewhat of an introvert. Now with HRT, things are prone to changing, but I always have this feeling whenever I interact with most people, and whenever I used to interact with my peers in school or even outside of school with some relatives or some friends, I always just have this feeling of discomfort inside of me, which might be connected to dysphoria, I don't know. But the point is that I never really liked interacting with people in groups like this. I feel like if this wasn't a trans group, I wouldn't have enjoyed it whatsoever. But this is the first time ever for me that I felt at home, and I don't know how to describe it, but I felt like I finally met my people. I finally met a group of people that I didn't feel were judging me constantly, or that I could tell anything to, and we just met. I don't know, it's just there's this weird connection that we already have, despite the fact that we know nothing about each other, and that kind of kinship is just incomparable to anything else I've ever experienced personally. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin with what I want to talk about. I flipping loved interacting with all of them. It wasn't many people, it was only 6 people. Although interestingly enough, in one of the last couple of sessions that I had with my therapist, she said that for the most part, or mostly, the trans people that come to her for therapy are an overwhelming majority trans men, which honestly kind of surprised me. And she kind of admitted this time that maybe she kind of, I don't know if the word to describe it would be exaggerated it, but maybe slightly misrepresented it, because at the very least recently, according to her, there has been an increase of trans girls coming for therapy. And for sure, in this particular session, we were 3 boys and 3 girls. And God, I can't begin to describe how good it felt to be referred to as a girl by people IRL like that. You know, again, this, like, obviously my therapist refers to me as a girl because that's what I am. But for the most part, otherwise, I don't really get many other any other interactions in which the people actively like refer to me or treat me as a girl. So to have a group of 5 other people treat me and refer to me like that, it just made me feel so giddy. And it still makes me feel giddy, man. It's so good. It feels so good. It's like when the first trans guy entered the room. He's been in previous sessions. He's a frequent participant. He came in with a shock and noted how this is the first time that there's been this many girls here in the sessions, because typically it's like 1 or maybe 2. I don't know if there's ever been 2, but according to his words, there's never been 3, which was interesting. But yeah, it was great. I was kind of worried. I mean, not kind of. I was definitely worried that I was gonna do some screw up when it came to the pronouns and stuff. Or maybe without saying stuff, I would mentally just not see the people participating as their gender. But honestly, surprisingly, I did not have that problem whatsoever. And I mentioned it actually to the group, and they all said that they've had similar worries at one point or another. But yeah, I genuinely didn't have to try to see them or anything. I genuinely saw them as their gender. In the case of the trans guys, obviously testosterone works much faster and much stronger, so there was less ambiguity, let's call it. They looked like guys to me. They passed. When it comes to the girls, I am very critical of myself, so I don't feel like I pass, but I guess I look decently feminine. There was one girl which I kind of was instantly jealous of. Damn you, dysphoria. Because she definitely passed femme. And the really cute thing is how we kind of matched outfits a little bit, because maybe we're both in our baby trans phase, which for those of you who don't know what that is, it's whenever you're early on in your transition as a trans woman and you jump into the girliest clothes possible and you wear the pinkest stuff out there, because we both were wearing pink hoodies. Obviously mine was much pinker because this one is like a dark pink, while hers was like a more brighter one. But it's really funny to me and cute how we both kind of matched in that regard. And she also had pink shoes, and now I definitely want to buy myself some pink shoes as well. And yeah, she just like genuinely, like, to me, vibe wise and like look wise, she genuinely passed. She even had like highlights in her hair and all that stuff. I feel bland compared to her, you know, because I feel like she is kind of like my um the kind of girl that I wish I could be, but not necessarily I would be comfortable to be, you know, because at the end of the day, I look and dress right now whatever way is the most comfortable. Like, I'm not trying to like go to a femme or anything. I'm just being myself. This is the kind of clothes that I would wear, and she had some similar clothes. Like I said, the zip-up hoodie. She also was wearing jeans, although I went for blue in my case. She went for black. But yeah, she was pretty cute and passing. I didn't catch how long she has been on HRT, but considering she's been on the same dose of estrogen and a lower dose of Cypro, and she looks much more feminine than I do, I definitely might have to follow her advice and try to take the uh, estrogen in a different manner, because she says that she takes it buccally, which is when you put the pill under your lip, on the inside between your lip and your gums, you know, and you let it stay there because that allows the body to assimilate the estrogen better without having it to go through your gut and everything. So might have to do that, because from my personal experience of doing DIY HRT years ago, I do believe in like the month and a half to 2 months that I did use it for, I feel like I got pretty strong like results very quickly. And she says that she has nothing to complain in regards to the development, but again, I didn't catch how long she has been on HRT. Mainly because, and this is another thing that I want to really talk about, it was a surprisingly bilingual support group, I gotta say. At first I thought that she wasn't actually like a native person from my country, but instead somebody who like speaks English far more. But no, this is just how these sessions go, which once again, it feels like I find my people. I found my place, because like I enjoy and feel so much more comfortable using English and speaking in English. Like, it feels like English is my language far more than what is actually like my native language, you know? So it's a welcome thing that mid conversation we would just kind of switch from one language to the other, if the better word that we want to use just so happens to be in English. And sometimes terminology is just better in English, you know? But yeah, she was a very cool character, I gotta say. I really, really liked her. And it's not like I want to jump into telling anybody there, hey, I like you, do you want to be together or anything, because that's not what the group is for. It's about supporting each other. But even if I wanted to, she has a partner. I didn't really catch the gender of, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, she was cute, she was great, I really, really liked her. There was this other girl who, from what I gathered, is still pre-transition, which honestly actually ultimately kind of surprised me, and I really hope that I didn't make her feel bad, because to me she looked like she was probably maybe a month or so on HRT, because she looked feminine to me in terms of her hair, and in terms of her face you could notice like some feminine aspects to her face, but maybe that's just like inherent feminine features, because I had some of those. My face, for example, was already pretty round before starting HRT. So I don't know if HRT could really do much more than that, than what I already had in that regard. But I feel like because at a certain point, because of me, we kind of ended up talking about our hormone regimens and all that stuff, like what are our doses and these kind of things. I hope we didn't make her feel bad, because, and I don't know, it's like when I saw every single one of them at some point be like sad or just kind of frowning a little bit more, I felt pain in my heart, man, because I know what's the pain of like maybe feeling ignored or not feeling quite able to like release that tension and anxiety that we all are going for to that support group, you know. So whenever like one of us would dominate the conversation a little bit too much, I would feel bad for everybody. It was great, but like I really like these people. I so want to go again, and I will go again, but the problem is because of my job, I can't go on the next scheduled uh on the next schedule gathering. I can go on the one after that most likely, but potentially I'll just ask if they can accommodate me being able to go on the 10th. My job can accommodate me for that, so we'll see. I'll try to potentially make them accommodate me for both the 10th and the 24th, because I want to go so much. I want to go so much, man. It felt so good having the ability to interact with other trans people who genuinely, truly understand what I've been through, because there were so many times where I would hear somebody talking about something and I would be like, oh yeah, same here. You know? It was like, even when it came to like the trans guys, I still felt that relatability. It was so good, man. I want to cry. I honestly, genuinely want to cry, because I didn't want it to end. I didn't want it to end. I was dreading every minute that was passing, because I knew we were getting closer to it ending, because it felt so good. For the first time in my life, I felt like I found people who understand me, people who don't judge me, like I found my people. And I won't be able to experience that again for literally a month. And yes, sure, I have my therapy session with the psychologist coming up, but it's not the same as speaking with other trans people about the same experiences that we go through, because I have nobody to talk to about these things. Even online, because the one place where I would want to talk about it is on Reddit, and I'm banned. So I don't really have a space for interaction. I'm starved. But yeah. I don't know, that's why I'm feeling kind of like a mix of emotions, because it was great. I'm so happy that I went. I can't wait to meet these people again. But at the same time, I'm gonna have to wait literally a month before I can meet them again. I wish I didn't have the job, but I need money. I have to get money from somewhere, and it sucks. Because I assume most of them get to go every time. And I'm sure they're probably gonna ask where I am, where I will be. But hopefully I can get off of work, if it's not gonna be too much of an ask. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I just, even if I had that online interaction with other trans people, though, it's a completely different thing when you're actually tangibly discussing these things with somebody right in front of you, and especially when they're actually genuinely going through the exact same experiences, because there's only like one or so ways of actually like going through this process in my country. So all of us like had to go through to the same endocrinologist for our HRT, and it was really fun to hear that. It makes me feel less alone, because even though I know that I'm not the only trans person in the world, I'm not the only trans person in my country, because I live in a small town, it feels very isolating. I don't really get to interact with people my age anyway, let alone um let alone um trans people my age, which I guess kind of brings me to another thing that I want to bring up about the group. I can't believe that I'm the oldest one in the group. I can't believe it. I'm only 23. I'm only 23. And everybody else was like 20, 21, 22. Like, come on, man. It's so annoying. Because, like, there was this time, this point, like 3 years ago, when I went to get like a certificate about my competency in speaking English, because I was hoping to potentially become a translator. And when I went to do the test there, it was only 3 other girls who were also there for that test. And even there, I was the oldest one. When I heard everybody's ages, like, because they kind of started the conversation and asked, and I said that I was, like, at the time, I guess I was 21, they were shocked that I was 21. Because I was baby-faced back then, and thanks to HRT, I might be still a little bit, I don't know. But I was definitely kind of baby-faced back then, and it felt weird to be the oldest one, And here I anticipated, or like, I don't know, I didn't feel like I didn't expect the outcome where I was the oldest one, where I was the elder trans person, so to speak. I did not see that coming. I mean, to be honest, what are the chances that there would be somebody older than me? Probably not necessarily small, but still, I definitely expected. I did not expect to be the oldest one. All my life, I've always kind of felt like the tiny little youngest person, and now all of a sudden I'm the oldest one. It was a little. It kind of irritated me a little bit, but it's fine. Like, it's not like our ages are that different or anything. But yeah, man, I just can't stop thinking about this. I said it on my Instagram, which you should go and follow, by the way. I don't necessarily post often, but I do post over there some things. But like I said it on my Instagram, this might be my favorite day ever. This is the best day ever. Having this interaction with these people. I know that we don't really have probably necessarily much in common other than being trans, but it's the kinship that I still feel with them is great. And I hope that there's going to be like some more kind of a connection for us to interact with each other, and not just in like the group, because I would feel starved still, man. I still want more. I still need more. So I'm a little bit under the impression that maybe there's like a Facebook group or something that they interact on. I'm not 100% sure, but I kind of I kind of understood it like that with some of the things that they said, which I can't really describe, but like it seems like they know each other, like they've interacted with each other before, um, and I want to interact with them more, man, because honestly, they've changed me already. They've changed me already, in more ways than one. I feel so validated in my transness, in my existence, thanks to this. Thanks to seeing real trans people other than myself. Um, I feel, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I feel so satisfied that I had such a group of people like treat me as a woman. It was great. Obviously, they would treat me like this. It makes complete sense. Um, and I, I think one of the things that they've changed in me already the most is the fact that I realize how much of a coward I am and how much braver I need to be, because it seems to me like all of them are fully living their lives as themselves, you know. um, Whereas I am not, and that kind of brought a little bit of dysphoria once I got back home, because um, I in general don't want to stop wearing these clothes, but whenever I'm home, I still like wear some of my not guy clothes, but like more masculine clothes, because those clothes are still girls' clothes, but I guess I just look a little bit more masculine in them and not like this, which is me. This is me. This is how I want to dress all the time. Um, so seeing them so confident and like being themselves and living as themselves makes me feel inadequate a little bit compared to them, like I'm actually not doing enough um in my transition to like be able to live as myself, which has maybe slightly motivated me to actually finally move out this year. I mean, I already have mentioned in videos that I wanted to move out, but it has kind of motivated me to finally fully move out so I can actually live as myself and dress however I want, whenever I want, you know? Um, but yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about for me. Especially because several of them are pretty early on their HRT. I know, like I said, there's one girl who is not on HRT yet, from what I understood. There's one guy who has been on HRT for basically a year longer than me. He started in November 2022. Wait, was it November or did he say October? Regardless, he started in 2022 around the time of October or November. I started in October of 2023, but there was the two other guys had started HRT like only like 2 months ago or so, which is honestly crazy to me because I thought that they were in it for far longer. Like to me, they look like guys, you know, like for 2 months, how much they've changed compared to how much I've changed is not fucking fair, man. Cause like I genuinely thought one of them was on testosterone for like maybe a year, Because, like, I can't even imagine in any of the cases of the guys, how could they possibly look like before starting their transition? Like, I can't see it. I can't see their old selves. Like, when I look at them, I can't see a trace of it. Whereas with me, obviously, especially because you guys actually have the footage of me before starting HRT, you can see, you can still, I still can see myself in these pictures, in these videos. Which is obviously why I'm so much more self-critical, and probably they themselves all think that the HRT hasn't really done as much as they would have liked to, which honestly I kind of wanted to make a comment about it, but again, it was my first group. I still fucking talked way more than I thought I would. Mainly because the therapist kind of threw me into the middle of it, because I was the new person. Everybody else had already met on, like, I believe the last session or so. And I was the new person, so I got to introduce myself and everything. So there was a decent, like, 3 or 4 times where I kind of initiated a conversation around the group. So yeah. I kind of lost my train of thought there. I'm sorry. I've barely slept the last couple of days. But yeah, where was I? I almost broke down because of the way they kind of made me feel a little bit, because it's both a good feeling of, like I said, happiness, content, feeling like I've been understood in a way that I have never been understood in my life. But at the same time, feeling like what I'm doing is inadequate. And it's kind of fueling, I don't know if I would say it's fueling dysphoria, but it's definitely fueling a little bit of a feeling of inadequate. I mean, inadequacy is probably the best word to use there. I feel inadequate compared to all of them. Because all the trans guys are, all the trans guys look like guys. The trans girl that is on HRT looks like a cis girl to me, talks like a cis girl, vibes like a girl, you know? Even has highlights in her hair. Like, she looks so good. And here I am. And obviously it's wrong to, like, compare myself to a pre-transition trans woman, so my brain doesn't even go there. But it's like, I feel like I am even worse than her, because, like I said, I thought that she was actually on HRT. But I feel like once she does, she is gonna quickly surpass me, or maybe we could actually get close, because I believe she's also from like a small town or whatever. I'm not sure actually, but her manner of speaking was definitely not quite of the city kind, to put it like that. And she's definitely still early on and everything, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really necessarily want to share too much about these people. Because I don't know if it's right. Like, I'm doing it only because it's like anonymous or whatever. But yeah, I loved hearing about all their experiences, all the things that they've gone through, that they've suffered. We really didn't delve into like much suffering, which is good, honestly, but I do wish we kind of delved more into our backstory, so to speak, because we did kind of touch on it a little bit, but we didn't really swim in it, you know? But yeah, it was really interesting to hear how the trans guys have to go about getting their testosterone, which I honestly kind of never really questioned it or thought about how what kind of HRT do they actually take, but it because like I've seen like online in like the West that trans guys take shots, like they have to inject it, which is also an option in the case of trans women, but not really here where we live. Here, I believe the only option is the pills that we're taking. And yeah, and vice versa. Actually, one of the guys said that he also was unaware of the way we need to take our HRT. So I don't know. It's just so fucking fun, and oh, it just touches my soul in a way nothing else does. Like interacting with other trans people and hearing their experiences IRL. Well, not really one on one. It was more like. It was 6 people, and 7 if you count the therapist who is the organizer of the group. But yeah, it was all great. Like I can't really cover everything because I don't remember everything. But it was great. I feel like I don't know what to say because all I'm doing right now in my head is just reliving that. That's how much of an impact this has made on me. Like, I can't stop thinking about the experience that I just had. And I want more. I want more. I want to interact with them all the time. I want them to be my friends. But how am I supposed to say it? Because they're not obligated to be my friends, you know? Or anything. And just because we're trans doesn't mean we actually fit in terms of our personalities and all those stuff. And probably if we weren't trans, we probably would have never like interacted. It's crazy the things the 6 of us have had to go through to even fucking interact in this situation. It's crazy to think that there are other people, other trans women, other trans men like me who are currently like some amount of steps behind me, who are just now figuring out, finding out about the existence of this LGBT organization and getting in contact with it and doing all the stuff that I did. It is kind of crazy to think about that because I thought about it in regards to the one trans girl who hasn't started HRT. At least I think I recommended her, or I don't know how to describe it, but like I gave her a suggestion about or a recommendation about the place where I go for my laser hair removal. That it's a good place for trans women to go to because the last week or so I had been contemplating going to a salon to get like a more feminine haircut because I felt kind of dysphoric about my hair and how it's just male long hair, not really anything feminine about it. And yeah, even in that regard, it makes me feel dysphoric because she has me beat. She has fucking curls. She looks great. When it comes to her hair, at least, she looks great. I mean, she didn't look bad or anything. She just definitely, she just is pre-transition. That's the thing. And honestly, like I said earlier, I was worried about potentially like accidentally misgendering people, whether verbally or just in my mind, but I actually had no issue whatsoever when it came to like anybody, even her. Like I read her as female and I refer to her as female because that's what she is. It just goes to show how transphobes have to jump through hoops to actually be transphobic. They have to actively choose to not gender the people correctly, because their brain is going to do it, you know? But they still are assholes. I don't even know what else to say, man. It was a great experience. I just want to share how great of an experience it was, and I guarantee you, most, if not all, of my next therapy session with my therapist, with my psychologist, whatever you want to call it, is going to be about all the emotions that I'm feeling since this. And it's not going to be far from now. It's going to be like in 10 days. And the next group thing would have been in 14 days. And I'm still hoping to potentially squeeze another go. If I can convince the people at my job, it would be fucking amazing. But yeah, I just have so much that I still need to unpack. Like, I'm definitely not gonna be able to like put everything that I feel right now into words. Everything that I feel in regards to all the things that I heard from the other trans people, all the things that I said, all the interactions we had, how much of an impact each one of them has made on me, because I've met them once and they're already fucking seared into my memory. Like, seriously, genuinely, I've never met more people that I love more, you know? And I'm sorry. Like I said earlier about how the way they seem to have been going through their transitions, it made me feel inadequate. Um, Another thing that at least they've helped me realize is uh, that I I don't even know why I'm crying about this. It's not necessarily sad. It just makes me emotional. I just kind of want to cry and like alleviate some of the fucking mess that is happening right now in my head. But um, for the longest time, I've struggled with what name should I use. Because I never really felt like any of my native countries' names ever really uh, worked for me. Like, there was never a name that kind of jumps out to me and it's like, oh yeah, that's gonna be my name. Um, but there have been some that are more westernized that that have. That's why the name of the channel and the name that I'm using online is Paige, because that's the name that I remember kind of feeling weirdly attached to when I was a kid. It's the name of a character from the Charmed TV series. And I remember being weirdly emotionally attached to both the character and the name as a kid. And for one reason or another, I just kind of picked that name. Even like back in 2019 when I first started the channel. You can go back to those videos and you can hear me call myself, I believe I was calling the channel Paige-E15 back then. I don't remember. But it's like, for me, I still didn't feel comfortable using the name Paige in like regular speak or IRL. I couldn't really imagine myself potentially like using the name as my legal name IRL. Well, that is definitely going to change. That has changed because I um, I uh, I heard I thought I was gonna be weird for picking a Western name when I transition, and not using like some just more feminine version of my name. That is more feminine version of my name, or a feminine name from my country. But hearing the names of everybody else there honestly made me realize how stupid and foolish um, and judgy that kind of opinion was. And why does this make me so emotional, man? I realized that the name that I want to go by, no matter what, is Paige. And I definitely want to inform my therapist of that going forward, that I don't want to use the name, my the name that I was using, which was the feminine version of my real name, which was the previous name of the channel. And instead, going forward, I will be going by Paige, because even when we were like talking and I mentioned to everybody, because we were talking about how we came up with our names, I mentioned how I struggled with coming up with a name for myself, like a feminine name for myself, because no name in the Bulgarian. I told them how I struggled coming up with a name for myself, like a feminine name for myself, because I didn't really feel connected to any name in my native language, in my country, and I just told them that because of that, for simplicity's sake, I just went with like a more feminine version of my real name. But that online I went by the name Paige, and I instantly kind of felt so much more connected with that name. And I even kind of told them that after hearing like everybody's non-typical names compared to like names in my country, I feel so much more confident and brave to use um, a different name, And if I can, I'm even gonna change my legal name to that. Honestly, I'm gonna be going by Paige from now on. And it's like because I've been thinking about this a little bit in recent times. I've been thinking about how did I want to like work with the two names that I go by, which is like my legal name and my online name. Like which one was me, my identity, like which one I felt more connected to. Because yes, I was thinking of sticking with my legal name just in a feminine version before, but I don't know. I didn't feel confident in that choice, but at the same time it felt weird. I would be weird if I picked a Western name, but it turns out, no, that's not weird. That's actually kind of common, trying to go for like a unique-ish name. Because every single one of them, bar the one non-transition trans girl, has a name that is not typical. So, yeah, I'm definitely gonna be going with the name Paige going forward, even IRL too. Because like, I'm now like having the name be said in my ear. I'm like imagining hearing that name being called that name um, by my therapist, by any of them, like by any of the other trans people that I met, and it just feels right. So yeah, I am officially Paige from now on. In every way, that's the name that people IRL I want them to call me, and that's the name that you guys should be calling me too. But I didn't have a problem with you guys. You were calling me that just fine. Um, but yeah. Is there is there anything else that I haven't covered? I mean, obviously, cannot really get into details about the things that we necessarily talked about because, again, I'm already probably oversharing too much about the things we talked about. Because eventually, if I do become friends with some of these people and they know that I have a YouTube channel and I've talked about this experience, they might watch it. And as we established earlier, we are all freaking bilinguals. The fucking thing was half in English anyway. As the therapist and many of us kind of said and agreed, it's hard to realize that you are trans without knowing English, you know? So it's kind of one thing that acts like not necessarily as a just as a gatekeep, but just as a kind of filter for the kind of person that is actually going to realize that they are trans. It's going to be the people who know English because they've read about it and seen other trans people and have informed themselves about it. But yeah, it was honestly, it feels so much like this. Everybody there was like just like me. I said it like 50 times already in this video, but like I felt like I found my family. You know, I feel so at home. I feel like an alien that finally found somebody from her planet, and they can talk in their own language. It was great, honestly. Once the ice broke after the first like 5-10 minutes, especially once I actually started to understand what the girl who was like just rapid firing between English and my native language. Once I started to be able to actually follow what she was talking about and what she was saying and everything, it was really fun and really entertaining. Like, I genuinely feel at home at this place. It was great. I can't wait to talk about it to my psychologist. I can't wait to go again. Hopefully I will be able to, because this kind of experience should not be just once a month. It feels too freaking nice, man. It's just so good. And I definitely will be going at least once a month. But man, feeling the feelings that I felt here, I really hope that there's gonna be some kind of like a Facebook group or something online where we can interact. Because Jesus Christ. And the whole thing, there probably is gotta be something that I'm not aware of, because in one of the last sessions that I had with my therapist, I said obviously that I wanted to interact with some other trans people and meet some trans people and talk with them. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in the group there, you know? So we agreed with her that if I can't make it, because I wasn't necessarily going to make it, be able to go to the particular gathering, like this particular gathering, that she would ask the other trans girls if they want to get in contact with me, you know? But I felt so much more comfortable that I went there, so I saw them and I interacted with them. And I mean, it would have been weird to say, hey guys, I don't have friends, I want some trans friends. Want to switch phone numbers? But it might genuinely be something that I might suggest or ask for. I don't know, like I would want to like find them online somewhere, I actually might just look them up on Facebook. They might actually show up in my Facebook feed now that I think about it. Okay. That might be something that we're gonna do. Okay. Um. If they are on Facebook, that is. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to make some actual friendships. It's gonna be awkward and scary and everything because, from what I heard from for all of them, like they all kind of have their friendships and their like they have their lives and friendships outside of being trans. Like shouldn't or they shouldn't pity party me and just be my friend just because they're trans. Because, like I said earlier, we probably don't necessarily have anything in common. And from what I've heard, at least like one, two, three, four of them. I mean, what am I saying? What? Not four, three of them. Have like either other trans friends or um, um, or just have friends in general and like significant others and all that stuff. Um, so my hope, I guess, or my possibility is probably only to like get close to the new pre-transition trans girl, which I'm fine with. She seemed cool enough as well. Um, I don't have a problem with that. Like I would like to be friends with her. I would just like to be friends with any of them because it shouldn't be what I would want to talk about with somebody. Like your friendship with a trans person as a trans person shouldn't be just about talking about being trans. Like there should be more to your personalities other than that. But currently, that's kind of my one thing, one pet peeve. Like I want to share experiences and learn and compare and give advice to each other. Like that was probably my favorite part of this whole interaction today. Like hearing the things that the others have gone through, whether it's the trans femmes or the trans masks. And yeah, like I said, regardless of whether we're talking about the boys or the girls, there was many times where I heard what they were talking about and I was like, oh yeah, same here. Exact same kind of experience, Like for example, you know how in one of the past, if not both or all of my past videos, I have shown and mentioned how I have made a stash of HRT just in case. Well, I guess I'm not the only one because one of the guys, the guy who has been on HRT for the longest from the group that we met, which is kind of crazy because, by the way, just a little sidetrack. It means to me that most of these people who have went there for the group are there from recently, because from what I understood, like there's the guy who has been on HRT for like a long time. So that means that he's been in contact with this organization for a long time. But the other two trans guys have been doing it from far more recently. So that means that they weren't necessarily there that long ago, maybe. Because like I've been in contact with the organization for almost a year now, actually. I contacted them in May for the first time. I went there in May for the first time. And man, I've changed quite a lot since then. Now, if you compare me to me in May of last year, yeah, I look different, which you can actually very easily do because the videos that I'm currently posting on the channel are from back then. So you can very much compare how I look right now to how I look back then. I definitely have changed in that regard. But yeah, it means that they're all recent, and I don't know, it's really weird to think about how we, the six, all managed to kind of gather up together. It feels like the stars aligned, you know, because we vibed so well with each other, I feel like. At least I vibed so fun with everybody. I don't care which one of them. I just would like to talk about these experiences, like, with any of them. Most, it would definitely be the other trans girl who is transitioned, because I feel like she has a similar to mine kind of like very strong and exciting personality with like kind of like a no filter. I don't know how to describe it necessarily, but she definitely comes off very strong. And I feel like I would have the most interesting conversations with her. Because like she made an offhand. It's a little bit of a sidetrack, but there was a little bit of a situation where we had a discussion about what is wrong to say about non-binary people. It's a long story how we got to that point, so maybe kind of a little bit off-color jokes, and unintentional, like, kind of, I wouldn't say mocking, but like maybe whatever is like a more milder version of mocking, like just kind of like not taking it as seriously of non-binary identities that we kind of ended up going into accidentally. And then she made a kind of like an offhand joke that while we were arguing about what's okay to joke about when it comes to trans people and what it's not, she kind of made a joke about how it's okay to make a joke about how trans women's dicks don't work, you know. And just kind of like that personality of hers is just really, it's really charming and really entertaining, and she was really fun to interact with. And it's once again one of those things where I feel a little guilty, because from what I heard, the pre-transition trans girl was there the last time as well. For the first time, actually. And they met each other for the first time and talked about stuff. And I feel like because I am in a far more comparable point in my transition to that girl, rather than the pre-transition girl, I feel like I kind of maybe stole the attention from her. I don't know. I feel guilty. I feel so sad. Hopefully, she can start her HRT and get it going forward. Because, I mean, I want to see all of them happy, you know? Like I said, it hurt me when I saw anybody either kind of bored or just seeming sad. But yeah, maybe I will be able to build some friendships going forward. I don't know. Because, like, at the end of the day, I can't be dominating the whole thing, so I haven't mentioned that I have a YouTube channel, or it never really came to feel, like, comfortable or normal, nor did I plan to, like, say, hey, I feel fucking lonely. I hear that a lot of you have, like, either other people in your life who are, like, tolerant and friendly, like, who are, like, close to your age, or straight up just have other trans friends. I have none of that. Anybody willing to be my friend, you know? And I'm potentially going to plan to say something along those lines next time. We just didn't really have the time, because I was even kind of trying to tell a story about my experience going to the endocrinologist to get the HRT, because apparently it's not uncommon to, like, have some wild, crazy shit happen to you whenever you're going to that guy. Because it's quite the thing. I mean, you can go and watch my video where I talk about this for when I finally started HRT, but to put it in the quickest way I can, you basically have to travel to a tiny-ass town in the somewhat middle of nowhere. Well, not really tiny-ass, but a small town in the middle of nowhere, and you have to find a building, a hospital, that is on the edge of town and that is not really easily noticeable from the main road where the building is. And it's literally attached to the rest of the building, which is fucking, I don't know, whether collapsing would be a good word to describe it, but it looks like nobody has fucking been there, like it's in Chernobyl. And I'm pretty sure one of the other trans people like made a joke about how it looks like Chernobyl, because it's literally on the edge of town, the side that is actually the hospital. And the funny thing is, like, you have the whole, let's call it complex. The whole complex, one half is fucking run down, completely destroyed, as if it's Chernobyl. And the other side of the building, where you go to the endocrinologist, is like nice and tidy and straight up fucking futuristic. And it's so easy to not see the hospital, because when I went there for my prescription, I went on the side where it's like run down and like the building is destroyed, and I thought that I went to the wrong place because I didn't see the hospital was on the other side. But yeah, all of them have had some stories or experiences to share about that. And I didn't quite get to finish mine because it was towards the end of the thing, but hopefully I'll get to mention it, because I even had a joke prepared. I had such a good joke prepared. At least from my point of view, it's a good joke, because I was gonna make a joke about the fact that when I went to the endocrinologist, I wasn't anticipating that he was gonna prescribe me HRT. I thought I would have to go, then go do blood test, and then go again for the actual prescription. But no, he was like, here's your hormones, well, here's your prescription. And then on my way home, I went to this big city to buy hormones, because I was like, if they gave me the prescription, I sure as hell am getting it as soon as possible and starting it as soon as possible. So I went around like 15 different pharmacies to be able to find this shit. And in the process, I realized that at different pharmacies, they don't know that I just went to another pharmacy and bought my prescription. So I was able to buy a bunch of HRT like boxes of those. I've shown them to you before. And I was going to make a joke about the fact that I'm sorry if no other trans girls can find HRT, like estrogen in the city, because I bought it all. Because I did that when I got my prescription for the first time, and then once again another time I kind of just went around like 7 or 8 pharmacies and got as many pills as I could, because I want to have a stash just in case I can't get HRT for some reason, whether it's because the doctor cannot prescribe it, whether it's because for some reason there is none, because apparently there was a situation like maybe last year, I think it was, where there was no testosterone for some reason, and that's when one of the trans guys, the one who has been on HRT for the longest time, mentioned how he has a little bit of a stash, and I said same here. But yeah, there was a lot of same here going on. There was another thing that I wanted to mention that I had a same here reaction, but I forgot what it was. Yeah, I can't fucking talk about absolutely everything we talked about, but if you've gotten anything out of this video, it's just that I really, really love this experience, and I'm trying to prolong my enjoyment and my thinking about it as much as I can, you know? Because it was such a good experience. It was such a great experience. It was so fun. I want to do it again. I feel like I was in paradise and I've been dragged back to hell a little bit. But yeah, I honestly completely expect to end up crying in bed after this, and I didn't get to tell that to the psychologist, but I'm definitely gonna tell her next time that I did cry about this, because because I feel so emotional about it. But the weird thing is, I can't tell whether I want to cry because of happiness or whether it's sadness. That's the weird thing, because it doesn't hit like sadness. But I don't know if it's happiness that I'm crying about, you know? Because like I've for the first time interacted with people like me, and they've given me hope, courage, feeling of not being crazy or alien anymore, and have inspired me to do things about myself that I didn't know I could. Like, this is the most normal I've ever felt. This is the most normal I've ever felt. It turns out that who I am, how I act, is not that uncommon. At least there's other people like me, you know. It was all in all a very profound experience, and I can't believe how like nervous I was about it. Honestly, all things considered, because the psychologist asked me to arrive there earlier, so she can talk to me about it. So I was kind of sitting there for like 15 to 20 minutes, kind of preparing and expecting that, okay, I expected it was going to be a lot like school, you know, how it felt when I was at school, where you had the cliques who were like just talking with each other and all that stuff, and there was I who was bullied um, and mocked and all those other things. Um, but luckily we didn't have that, and that's why it feels so good, man. Interacting with people as my true self and being treated as my true self. I'll never forget this day. I'll never forget it. It's I'm saying it right now. It's my favorite day ever. It's my best day of my life. And I can't wait to interact with them some more and see how I'm gonna feel after that, how we're gonna go on further, you know. And I really, really hope there's an alternative to like contacting these other trans people and interacting with them besides the group, because I need that. I need that. But yeah, I'll talk with the psychologist about whether there's like a online thing as well or not. Or because she was potentially going to be doing something online as well. I don't remember what the situation was in that regard. But like, do we have like a Facebook group or something that I can join uh, and interact with them, or could we set up something like that? Does anybody want to set up something like that? Does anybody want to interact with me outside of the thing? Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm so thankful for going to that, and thankful for like just meeting all of them, and for them finally allowing me to accept my real name, which is Paige. From now on, both IRL and online, I am that. I don't know why that makes me, when I think about it, makes me tear up. Like, the fact that I kind of feel like, I guess, maybe inspired, or like, I don't know if it's the fact that I feel inspired, or I feel seen and heard, and like, I'm not weird, because I already mentioned it like 3 times. I felt like it would be weird for me to pick that as my name and stick with it, but it's not. And guess I'm going with that going forward. Let's see how the therapist is gonna react to it. I mean, I mentioned it. she did react with a little bit of a face, not a bad face or anything, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's all I have to cover. It was a great experience. I loved all of them. I loved all the things we talked about. It was great. I'll never forget this day. I'll never forget them, and I hope that I get to meet them again relatively soon. Hopefully on the 10th. If not, well, there's still gonna be the 24th. But if that day also is fucked, I mean, I will warn my colleagues that that I would prefer if at least one of those days I am free, preferably both, but at least one of those days I want to be free, because I'm not going a month without meeting these guys. That's why I'm hoping to like potentially come up with something where we get to interact outside of it, outside of the group. But yeah, I don't know. God, I can't stop thinking about this. I can't stop thinking about all of them and how much I like them and their personalities and how much I want to learn more about them and become friends with them, you know? We'll see where things are gonna go, I guess. But yeah, I almost broke down once again. I think that's all I have to say. So before we end this video though, I do want to give a huge shout out to my currently 2 patrons on Patreon, Deadpool and Kim's Wires. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. It really means a lot to me. You have decided to support me. You have continued to support me such a long time. I hope you continue to enjoy my content and continue to support me going forward. Thank you very much. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, check out the link in the description to my Instagram if you want to follow me over there, and to my Wattpad where I post my stories, because in addition to doing all these videos on my channel, I'm also a writer. You can also find the link to my Discord down there, where you can click on it and join the Discord, where we can discuss anything that I cover on the channel and even some LGBT stuff if you are into that. And ultimately, if you end up enjoying my stories, or you simply enjoy my videos, you can head over to my Patreon, to my Coffee account, or to my PayPal, where you can pledge your support and help get the channel going, help support me so I can keep writing the stories you enjoy. But if you don't want to do any of that, that's completely fine. You can still help me out in other ways, like liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and especially sharing this video with somebody who you think might enjoy it. And I think this is pretty much it for this video, so hopefully I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!